Good morning, family. How are you, Caro? I am so happy that you're here with us on Ascending. I am your joyful, happy host, April R. Silver. And you, because it's Saturday at 11, you're watching Ascending on the Mark Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. So, guys, we have some feedback, or I don't know. So I'm gonna need you all to break the floor. Hmm.
Uh, you're hearing it on your end, April?
Yes, there's a massive delay. I'm not sure what that is. Absolutely.
Uh,
Is it still occurring?
Yes, it is.
well, I would say just continue the show and we'll work on it as you.
Okay, so just so you know, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to keep talking. It might be a little awkward. We have technical difficulties because we're live. It's what happens. So, and so I have major, massive feedback. So we're just going to push through because we have an amazing guest. We have Rhymefest with us today. Our producers are going to figure out what that delay is. It's a delay and an echo. But it's Saturday, December 6th. It is the Ascending live stream on Mark Lamont Hill official. But as you know, if you're watching on Twitter or on Mark Lamont Hill's channel, that's great. We love your eyeballs, but we want you to go over to watch on Mark Lamont Hill official on YouTube. So I'm not sure what that is. Oh, well,
I think it might be on your end, April. Um, Everyone else is
let's
muted.
see. Everything else is good. That might have been my end, and I think it's gone. This is what happens when you think you know everything and you be bossing people around, and then you discover the problem is you. Maybe that's a whole episode. So the problem was my fault. My apologies. So that's the last glitch that we're going to have for today. I know what happened. Producers, y'all can hang me by my toenails later, but the problem was on my side. The echo and the delay is gone. So welcome. So let's just jump right into it, family. You know how we do. Every week we are asking from where you are ascending. So we know y'all are in the space. Y'all are waiting for our very special guest, who I'm going to say in just a minute who the guest is. But in the live comments, in the live chat, tell us from where you are ascending. We always have people from all over the world. So let's do that. On that note, let's go to the fact that this is episode 45. Our featured guest is Rhymefest. I am so excited. So excited. We're gonna bring him on in just a minute. And it's not just that Rhymefest is here to talk about the role of artists and the role of artists in community and governance. Is not just that conversation, but we have a new music video premiere only on Ascending. It is exclusive. At the end, we're going to watch this amazing songwriter, producer, fierce MC, hip hop head, global humanitarian, multi-GRAMMY award and Academy Award winning artist, Rhymefest. That's who's coming. And we get to have an exclusive and we get to have a conversation because he's not just an artist. He is also an elected board member for Chicago City Schools. So we talk about the epitome of arts and activism. That's it. But first, let's shout out Mark Lamont Hill, the team at Mark Lamont Hill Official. Let's shout out my team, my A team, Drake, Aaron, Kevin, and Sandy. I can't not express gratitude for all of the behind the scenes work that goes on, even when I mess up. The team is holding it down. So let's jump right into bookmark. Our bookmark. This is our weekly segment, and today, for very, very fitting reasons, the bookmark for today is Everything Anything by James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni. Our featured guest, who's coming on in just a second, has a whole project and a dedication to these icons. And so we want you to go ahead, if you don't already have it, or enhance your library for those who are watching and who are listening and not watching. These are just a sample of books from Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin, our literary icons that are on the screen. So you know how we do. We want you to get the books by Black authors because that's what we do, but we also want you to get them from a Black-owned bookstore. This is our weekly reminder. You should be getting your books from Uncle Bobby's or any other Black-owned bookstore across the country. There are close to like 200 independent Black-owned bookstores across the country. Uncle Bobby's is one of them, and it is owned by our beloved Marc Lamont Hill. Is based in, I was about to say Chicago. It's based in Philadelphia. It's Uncle Bobby's Coffee and Books. If you can go and order any book through their website, UncleBobby's.com, and get whatever you need. So let's support not just Marc's bookstore, but any Black owned bookstore across the country. And let's let that lead us to our Black media shout out. The Black media shout out is, you're going to see, is fitting because our guest is an elected board member of Chicago, City of Chicago Public Schools. So that reminded me, and I want to remind you that we had Dr. Shango Blake here just a couple of weeks ago, and he reminded us this major feat that of which he was a part of, one of the architects of the Black Studies as the World curriculum. It is a curriculum that is now available not just in the City of New York Department of Education, a curriculum on Black Studies for pre-K through 12. Pre-K through 12, this curriculum on Black Studies that is now available to teachers in the Department of Education, again in the City of New York, is a massive undertaking. It's available for anybody to download. You can search Black Studies as the study of the world. Black Studies curriculum for New York City Public Schools. You can Google that and see the layers and layers and layers of this curriculum that is available to be used not just in the City of New York, but anybody can download it. You can read it, you can download it, you can use it. I know I have. More on that later because I'm teaching a media literacy class. More on that later, but that's the Black media shout out for today. I don't remember the episode. We'll figure it out in a minute, but Shango Blake, the nation's hip hop principal, was the episode that we did. Shout out to Dr. Shango Blake. You'll be hearing more about him. And we want to now do our standard in memoriam. It's fitting that the in memoriam is James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni. James Baldwin, our beloved literary giant and philosopher and the epitome of who gives a damn. His anniversary, the death of the day that he died, December 1st, at 63 years old, that was in 1987. Today is December 6th. I thought all of the things were aligned to honor him, especially because our featured guest has a project about James and Nikki, entitled James and Nikki. So that anniversary just passed just a couple of days ago. And our beloved Nikki Giovanni passed December 9th, 2024. It's a weird kind of alignment, but this is where we always lift up our ancestors. That is a given. We humble ourselves and we pray that we're never separated from their wisdom and their brilliance. So that's our in memoriam for today. We want to remind you also that you are watching Marc Lamont Hill Official. That's the channel. The show is ascending, and you can support this work, this indie Black media movement that Marc is a part of, that I am a part of, by joining Marc Lamont Hill's Patreon. You can go to Patreon. It's Marc Lamont Hill official, but you can subscribe. If you're able, you can subscribe, but it helps keep this show alive and thriving. And we definitely want you all to do that. You'll get a reminder before we're done. On that note, family, without further ado, we are going to welcome to the stage our friend. There you are. You always bring a smile to my face. I love your smile. Your energy just pops out. We haven't even said anything, but thank you and welcome. So good to see you, Rhymefest. Uh-oh. Wait, we have Rhymefest on. Is his mic on, guys? Let's
He's
see.
Hello?
fine now.
Okay, there we go. I hope
Yes.
you heard me gushing over you.
Yeah, I did. And it's so good to be here. Like we were talking earlier, with everything that we do in our everyday lives, for me, this is a wonderful moment of relaxation and reflection.
This is great. You know, this is we talked before, we built before, we've done stuff, and so I'm already floating, right? Because your intellect, your experiences, your wisdom, the way that you hold up artists and you seek to hold us accountable, right? As artists, as human beings,
Yes.
not just artists, but as human beings, as people who have potential to change the world, your articulation and your passion and your consistency
Hmm.
is what I love and adore. So it's always a blessing and a spirit of peace and being in communication with you as well, because I love how you flow. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That's beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, we come from the stock of people, we only say what we mean, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And
You
hold
know,
each other accountable when need
yes,
be.
yes,
We need
absolutely.
that. We need accountability and love.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. We need that with each other, especially now. So let's jump right in if we could, right?
Hmm.
One of the most recent times that we talked, you and I, you were not, you were always this fierce artist, right? Songwriter. People know you from Glory. People know you from Jesus Walks in terms of co-writing those songs. You've got Grammys. You got what is it? The global
Golden Globes, Academy
Golden
Awards,
Glove,
all that
the
stuff.
Academy
Yeah.
Awards. You got all of the awards.
Trinkets. Like Mike Tyson said, trinkets.
Trinkets, but and not that you are very, not that you are validated
Mm,
by those institutions, but it's not a bad flex, right? So you have all of these manifestations, right, of your professionalism and your creativity, and somewhere along the way there's something in you that said maybe that's not enough.
mm,
So
mm,
you're going to run for office.
mhm,
So you
mhm.
ran a campaign and you are now an elected board member, first time
Yeah,
ever in the
yeah.
city of Chicago. Can you talk to us about that journey? I'm sure in some ways it's connected, but in some ways it might be a leap. Can we start there?
Yeah, well, I'll talk about what the perceived leap is, and then I'll go into the connection. And April, again, thank you for having me. And I think this is a beautiful conversation to have because it's one that not only uh, legislators need to hear, it's one that artists need to participate in. What I've been seeing throughout my career is the currency of our art, the currency of our culture being leveraged for people's aims. So it's not that art and politics don't merge, but politics uses art to bring in culture. And so artists have never been, I saw Little John at the Democratic convention when Kamala Harris was running for president. And yeah, they let him do the shout out in the intro, but they don't let him in the room to talk about policy. Now, who has a thumb on the culture more than somebody like Little John? Why would you use him to do the hype up, but not talk to him about what is it that he sees that people who aren't typical voters would be attracted to policy wise for voting? artists have always been used by politicians and never been invited to the room to use their voice about culture. And so I started to see the connections of our cultural currency for social and political justice. So, even if you look at, and we could talk about fashion, if you look at Donald Trump's hat, why does that red hat reverberate more with certain people than, let's say, an expensive hat by Louis Vuitton? Why does Donald Trump sell more hats? When they put that hat on, they don't live in their grandma's basement. They feel empowered. They're a part of
Yes.
an organism now. They're a part of, that's what fashion can do. Elvis Presley used to wear Evel Knievel suits because he bought those suits and wore them because he felt like when he was on stage, he was invincible if Evel Knievel could wear them and jump over 1,000 cars.
Right,
So,
right.
I started asking myself, what am I doing bigger than Sonics? What am I doing bigger than trying to commodify the drum or sell a message or get personally known? How am I using my art to leverage for social and political justice? And I can't do it by trying to convince some other politician that my voice matters, because
Wow.
ultimately rappers have said too many stupid things about education,
That
about
part.
policy. Rappers have said too many disqualifying things to be taken seriously outside of entertainment. So I had to take music outside of entertainment and say, Rhymefest for CPS, Chicago Public Schools. Rhymefest for CPS, laptops, library, literary success, system feeding us checkers. I'd rather eat them at chess. And then all of the children say, hey, mom, vote for that guy, because I
Wow.
became the McDonald's emblem where the children could say, now this is somebody who knows how to reimagine what we're learning in school. And so on the school board, you need teachers, you need parents,
Yeah.
from the PTO, you need scientists, you need mathematicians, because we're dealing with budgets. You're a fiduciary steward, but you need artists. And so
Yes.
often we see artists left out of those conversations, but not only left out, opting out, because artists don't believe that we can shape the left and right side of our brains to not only reimagine, but to do the disciplinary work of being fiduciary stewards of our tax-paying dollars. And so I started to see those connections, and I don't believe it's separate. And I don't, now I call myself a poetician, because I'm able to reimagine. And I'll tell you something else, April. I'm finding poeticians all around this country, all around this world. The new mayor of New York is a poetician. We have a guy
Word.
right now that's a city councilman in New Jersey with a new book out, Councilman Dupree, Do It All
Yep.
Dupree, who was in
Yep.
Lords of the
Yep.
Underground. So,
Absolutely. And the mayor of Newark, New Jersey himself,
himself. Let's go. So, what we're seeing is that, and it started, I would even say, with President Obama, who was a type of poetician. And so this is the new way that we're finding a new electorate and exciting a new electorate.
Yeah. Now, and I agree. Poetician, that's a bar, of course. The creativity, the hunger to want to make an impact. You stopped yourself, right? And I remember you talking about journaling being a part of your self-discovery, but you stopped yourself in your tracks, right? And said, how can I make a bigger impact? Where do you think that drive to evolve and push yourself, was that as an adolescent? Did you always do you know a version of yourself without being that person? Where did that come from?
Mm. I, I was told when I was young that genius only takes one trait. If you want to be genius, stay curious. And so continuing to be curious about, why do I live in a food desert? Why does the properties in my neighborhood deplete so much? and then shoot up so sky high when you got $800,000 houses right down the block where there were once $30,000 houses, but now the people, the legacy people of those communities are moving out. Why? Why is there so much violence on one side of the street and on the other side of the street where it's clean? Like, how do they keep these two things from even crashing into each other? You know, growing up in an urban setting, there's so many curiosities, and also where you have great brilliance, you have great brokenness and broken people and broken spirits, where there's great shoulders that we stand on, like Reverend Jackson, like my brother from Third World Press,
Hakeem Booty.
yeah, Hakeem
Hakeem
Mahabuti, who's
Booty.
been a
Yes.
teacher and coach of mine. You know, so
Yes.
you know, how is this happening in Chicago with brokenness and brilliance all mixed together? And once you start being curious, it leads you down the path to the unbelievable you.
Man, this already got, I don't know how we're going to keep this to a short show because you just keep opening up. I love it. I love it. But so these are all things that we feel in our bones, right? You've known this since you were a child. You've been curious, but then here you come. You're elected. You got to deal with stuff that you probably didn't forecast.
Mm.
People, games, whatever, whatever. Are you?
ICE,
Oh my God, that part.
ICE,
Ice.
racial disharmony, Black folk
Yeah.
in our community not understanding that immigration is just as much of a Black American. I mean, New York and Chicago are totally different because of the segregated
Yes.
communities and how we view Latins versus how Latins view us, and you know, federal government invasions, especially surrounding our schools, arresting our children's parents,
Going
harassing our
inside the
students.
and
Yeah,
going into daycare centers,
yes.
like it was I know the answer, but I'm asking anyway. Was this more that did you bite off more than you could chew? Are you
Uh,
deterred? Are you like, whoa, I didn't know it was gonna be this bad? Like, because now you're in it, right? You're in just the worst of it and practically day to day. How did has that changed you? Are you, you know,
No, no, it's
okay,
empowered me. This, you know, so being an elected school board member, I'll tell you, let me ask you a question, April. How much do you believe school board members in Chicago are paid?
the school board members,
Mhm. Elected school board members, how much do you
yeah,
think they're paid? Let's talk about
zero.
it. Zero. It is a volunteer
Oh, I
position.
was right.
Yes. Yes. It is a
Okay, it's a
volunteer
volunteer.
position that takes more than 80 hours a week. I'm thinking about it, dealing with this every day of my life, doing data research, dealing with budgets, visiting over. I have 91 schools in my district. I visit a school every day, you know, learning from these schools. How did I bite off more than I can chew? We were born for this time. I turned it into a ministry. The only way I could do this in service and for free is to make a ministry out of it. That's the way I keep my moral and ethical compass. When temptation is thrown your way of, oh, look, you have access to buying this property, or you know where the money is going, you know where the
Okay,
money's coming out before the
right.
citizens do. What do you do with all of this information? We're supposed to be making it better for people and making it better for students. People don't realize how the school system is used to create communities and to destroy communities. And so, you know, all of this is based around the education that children are getting. People come to neighborhoods for quality schools. They will take over your neighborhood or take your neighborhood if there's a quality school involved. So, you
Mhm.
know, turning this into a ministry is the and making this my ministry is the way that I keep my head about it and stay excited about it.
Wow, that's really everybody's not hardwired for that. Real talk. Everybody's not hardwired to do this work, to turn it into a ministry, to not be scarred.
Uh,
And you're like, bring it on, right?
we were
Right.
born for this day.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree 100%. And I think we thank you, right? Because, like we always say on this show, thank you for giving a damn. Because some
Uh,
people don't. They take their head, they bury it in the sand, and live like, don't bother me. how have the parents, and because how long has it been since you were officially, it's been a
So it's
year?
about a year now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How have the parents responded? Like, what have you learned from the parents in those 91 schools, the district that has 91 schools?
A lot of parents, we have very low parental engagement, not only around the country, but
Hmm.
in Chicago public schools. There's very low parental engagement. Many parents, especially in our communities, drop our children off at school and never go in the building. Some parents, after, especially after COVID, there's been a large chronic absenteeism that we're dealing with. What When we talk about reimagining how we engage with schools and parents, I've seen amazing principals and leaders. There's one principal who was dealing. She has 300 students in the school. Maybe she'll get three parents to show up on a report card pickup day. But
Okay.
what Principal Deloach at Carver began doing was saying, instead of calling it report card pickup day, let's call it Parent Appreciation Day. And let's put
Ha!
the report card in a swag bag with some t-shirts and a mug. And she raised the percentage of parent engagement
I
from
love it.
0.2% to 75% parent participation. Parents don't always want to be called when it's something wrong with their child. If the school is saying this is the medical help that your child need, or maybe these are the mental health services your child needs, many parents run from that and don't want to face that about our children. Now, it's not that something's wrong with your child, it's how to get your child back on the right track towards academic excellence. But sometimes, we're dealing with things in our relationships and our jobs and our lives, and we don't want to face what's really happening with our children. We have
Yeah.
more diverse learners every year, and it's costing although we have decreasing enrollment, we're having more special health services that we have to provide, which drives costs, which are driving our costs up. And it's hard to it's challenging to get parents to understand how to access and help their child with the services they need. But what we have to do is reimagine how to invite parents into the building and give full family services and not just children's services. However, especially with public schools, many times we think the public schools should be the one-stop shop for every need. And so we're trying to balance severe needs in our community right now. And what I'm seeing with parents are, when we invite them out, when your child is performing like a
Mhm.
school play or band, not
Yes.
only do the parents come out, the auntie come out, the grandmama come out, they want to be proud of their children. So the school systems, we have to create initiatives for parents to be proud of their children, invite them in the buildings, and then help show them how to build their children's potential.
Wow, I love it. I love it. It's so interesting that you say that, Rhymefest, because and let me just pause for a minute. Everybody, you are watching Ascending. We are here every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Marc Lamont Hill Official. So if you're watching and you're excited and you love what's going on and you haven't texted your friend to watch, then you're a thief. Don't be a thief. So I just had to put that in there. But Rhymefest for real. I have a educational background. I used to teach middle school
Mm,
students, right, in New York City. My best friends are teachers, or principals. Marc Lamont Hill, scholar, wonderful that he is. I just had a conversation at a school where I'm teaching media literacy, right, a middle school in the Bronx, and just one day a week. And shout out to Dr. Cherie Warren, who was on this show. We're big on education here
good.
on Ascending. There's a washing machine, a dryer, a food pantry, all kinds of things in her school. So when you talk about and it wasn't when we grew up, we didn't have all of those things in the school building. So students who don't have the means to get clean clothes, they can bring dirty clothes to school and get them washed. Teachers do more than buy crayons and scissors and paper and little doilies for the classroom. We have principals and faculty members who are buying wardrobes,
Hmm.
right? We have principals who are intercepting and like, okay, you four, you come live with me since your mother was taken away or whatever. So is there a similar thing happening in the city of Chicago, which you've experienced, where not only is there the actuality of the school being one stop, but it's an expectation that the principals, the teachers are providing everything in that building because oftentimes the parents don't have it in their homes. Is that your experience as well? Similar?
Yeah, it is. And at the same time, as someone who's dealing in the law and governance, we have to also, what I'm balancing is that is a expectation, especially when you have Black male principals or Black male leaders. And many of the parents are saying, hey, you got to be the father of my child because he don't have, a male role model at home, like you, principal, Dr. Such and such. And that puts extra pressure on the leaders. And we have parent mentor groups, we have safe passage programs with people from the community watching the children, trying to in the streets of Chicago. However, we're also balancing with how do we keep children safe? In a community like mine, where 80% of Black males have had an encounter with the law by the time they're 18, yet it's hard to get a vending license or get approved to be a volunteer in a public school if you have certain criminal records. How do
Uh,
we protect our children in a system where if anything goes wrong, the number one place people want to sue is the schools? If you look at the amount of lawsuits that we're going through because of harm
in your district,
in our city,
in
and
your
in the
city,
school system,
and this, yeah, the whole. Okay, I'm with
the
you.
whole school system, and I'm sure it's like this. New York, any big city you're talking about, the first thing someone wants to do is sue the school for millions of
True,
dollars. So we
true,
have a duty to keep children safe, and we're trying to balance it with the needs of people in traumatized situations. So
right.
it's a real balance. It's a real balancing act, and we have to be careful. And sometimes people are saying, well, why don't we let the real mentors or ex incarcerated people come in and talk to some of the most challenged students? It's like, well, we have to balance. How do we keep our students safe and at the same time give them relatable models that can
Yeah,
help?
yeah, yeah. That is a delicate balance. That is
Yeah,
a
and
delicate
and
balance.
and we talk about how we have to give, but we rarely talk about how do we protect even in that? How do we hold accountable even in that?
Yes,
There are actors out here who use community organizations as plays to get money from the system and don't give the services that they are supposed to be providing.
yes,
I work directly in data. I have an issue when I see contracts done with our schools. We use this word activist. I'm not an activist. At the end of the day, I'm an advocate for community, but I'm also in governance. So I have to look at data and research, and if we're providing contracts but I can't see where that contract is resulting in impact to our students.
yes,
How do I provide equity for all students, whether they're Black, white,
yes,
Latino,
yes,
Indian, Asian? So you you know, just making the data match with the equity that we're trying to provide, and helping the money that homeowners and taxpayers are spending really have value. Like that's
right,
the balance.
right. No, I appreciate that. You and like you said, talking about balance, the artist's brain or
Yeah,
your artist self, with this practical side, the balance. And we talk about the balance of arts and activism here all the time, or arts and advocacy, arts and education, and you're the epitome of that. let's shift for a moment to the artist side, which is
Mm.
not separate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
all interwoven for
It
sure.
empowers it. Yeah.
It empowers it. Yeah. Talk to us about um your latest project. I mean the James and Nikki project. We talked about that before. Your journey as an artist, how you got all those statues or trinkets, trinkets on the wall. Talk about your artist journey. What makes you most excited in your artistic expressions?
Yeah, the spirit, the drum that is in our hearts that we manifest toward our gift, toward how we express it, should always have a purpose at the end of it. What is the movement that is being created by your art? And how are you reaching in the past to bring something in the present that resonates in the future? This is shaman work that we're doing. This is not like commodity work. This is not
Right,
capitalism. You know,
right.
I had to learn through a long process. James Baldwin says it takes a long time to learn a little bit. And it took
Ah,
me a long time to learn not to pimp my art, to do it so that I had enough for me in the community. And if there was any left over, I could take it to the marketplace. Don't start at the marketplace. And so,
uh-huh.
James and Nikki is when you look at that 2 hour conversation they had at the soul on the soul show, uh they were having a prophetic conversation as man and woman, as bi and gay, as teacher and student, as father and daughter, as
Yes,
husband and wife. They were
yes.
having like
They
a
went in.
Oh God. They were freestyling and doing poetry. They were giving biblical soliloquies. They were
Yes.
doing prophecy work in front of our eyes that got videotaped. Once I realized that, I said, we got to remix that and make it accessible for today and for the future. And that's
How
why
did
I
you
put it
even
into rap.
But how did you even come that video that is lived for all of these decades? How were you even introduced to it?
I was going through a divorce.
Hmm.
And I was going through I was in a complex, challenging relationship. And then it just pops up. How does the algorithm know what your heart is feeling? Somebody explain it. And then it pops up and she says, well, what about me? You go and you smile at him and come home and I get all the anger. And it started making me do some self-awareness, like, wait, what am I doing here? Should I even be here? How am I showing up? And the
In
best
the
way
relationship. In
in
the
in my
relationship.
own relationship.
Right.
And is this even what's for me? And just listening to that, the only way I could make it make sense was to put it into rap.
Hmm. I love it. And you got our beloved Nikki's blessings on
I
the
did.
project. Yeah.
The first thing I did was before the finished project, I did a demo of the project and got it to Nikki Giovanni, because if she didn't approve of it or like it, it would not be, the spirit wouldn't be blessed putting it out there. And that's a
Right.
lot of things. We don't check with our ancestors before we release things. And we don't check with our elders. And it would probably do all artists good to have a coach, two coaches and a mentor, and
Mm,
check with your elders before you just start releasing stuff into the atmosphere. It matters. And
it
so
matters.
I let Mama Giovanni listen to it, and she said, "Oh," she said, she called me. She said, "Jimmy would love you. Jimmy would just love you."
Ah, wow. Did you need anything else? Did you need anything else
I didn't
after
need nothing.
that?
And then I said, "Well, I said, will you show up for the release? And will you, I start asking for stuff." And she said, "Damn, boy, I told you I liked it and gave you my blood. What else you want from me? You good? Thank you. Bye-bye. That's all I needed. Bye. I don't even want to talk to you no more. Thank you. Love you." Whoa, they
You
get
got
cussing you
emboldened.
out. Huh?
You got emboldened. And she was like, hold up.
That's happened to me a lot in my lifetime. I mean, I've had the blessing of being mentored by Minister Farrakhan and Reverend Jackson, and we praying for his health, and Dr.
Yeah.
Cornel West. I'll never forget when Minister Farrakhan, he said, Rhymefest, you got an Academy Award and you got Grammys and you got all the good stuff. I said, yes, sir, Minister. And I was proud. I thought he was going to ask me to do something. He said, so what you going to do tomorrow? That's
Okay.
dead.
Yeah.
He said, that's
Yeah.
dead. What you doing tomorrow?
Wow.
I said, yes, sir, Minister. I'm working on it.
Right, right, right. I
Yes,
love
man.
it. I love it. It's really interesting. And I'm trying not to go all over the place because we could talk about so much. But the fact that you brought up we need mentorship and guidance and coaching from our elders. The fact that you talked about art as a spiritual essence,
Mhm.
that pulled you. The fact that I know that you and Chief Ayanda Clark have had connection and you name checked him recently as one of your spiritual
Yes,
advisors.
yes.
Can I get your feedback? But I mean, we're already doing it, but let's zone in on this connection between art and spirit, that which is unseen, that which is that's not tangible in the human realm, but lives somewhere else. You talked about the spirit of the drum. Go in on that a little bit, and it might be hard because I'm actually asking you to put words to something that is unquantifiable.
Yeah, well, when we talk about the spirit, the spirit of the drum, there has to be a disconnection from desire. Desire interrupts the rhythm. There has to be a connection to what is needed of you in this time. What is the uncomfortable responsibility that you're willing to jump into? And then there has to be a flow. Whenever you're trying to make music or trying to make poetry or trying to draw a picture or do a dance, you're going to trip over your feet. You have to do it without trying. It has to come from a flow. And that flow comes from a connection. And that connection comes from disconnecting. And so if you cannot disconnect, you will never be able to connect to the flow.
I love it. I love it. And you're pushing me to ask, can that be trained? Like in other words, like what we've talked about
It
here,
must be trained.
it must be trained. Thank
It
you.
must be
We,
trained.
we, we have said here on plenty of occasions, just because you wake up one day and your heart is all aflutter and you take pen to paper does not make you a poet per se. In other words, respect the craft, study it, train, and discipline yourself. Can you elaborate on that? Would you
Yeah,
agree?
so there's a rawness, right? There's a rawness that you understand the drum, right? I was in Senegal, and they start playing the talking drum and the djembe, and they start telling me about the language of the drum and how they were talking, and it reminded me of the stories of our ancestors that came
Absolutely.
over in enslavement and start sending code, and then the Senegalese made a circle and they start playing, and I didn't know what they were playing, and they were laughing at each other, like, yeah, and shaking their head. And I realized at that moment they were talking about me
Through the
through the
drum.
drum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when I stopped being uh, afraid and I just started settling into it, I then began to understand the language, but I
Yeah.
needed them to tell me about what it was. I needed them to demonstrate it. And then I needed them to do it back and forth with one another. And then I had to let go of my ego in order to sink into it a little bit. I notice it about rap music. Rap music has it as well. If you go to Iran or Iraq, where they love poetry. Poetry, they may know 19th
Absolutely.
century Hafiz. I don't know
Absolutely.
that, but they know 50 Cent. they know Tupac. If they start rapping, when I go to Cartagena, Colombia, and they rapping in Spanish, how do I know what they're saying and I don't speak Spanish? I know
Right.
the vibration.
I was just about to say it's a vibe. Ah,
You know the vibration.
it's a vibe.
And
100%.
there's a non uh linguistic language in the vibe.
Yes.
You have to
Yes.
learn how to hear it. You have to learn how to know what you're looking at. There's a discernment to it, and
Yeah.
discernment is taught.
Yes. Yes. And if you needed to be articulated in the language that you speak, you might not be ready to disconnect. If you have to intellectualize it, if
Yeah.
you have to bring your intellect to it, you might not just be ready to disconnect so that, to your point, that you can flow and be in harmony with the other realm. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. And I would add that intellect is actually the last stop on that journey, because
Yeah,
intellect is now how you transcribe it. It's not how
there you
you
go.
understand it. It's how
Yes,
right now you and I are transcribing our experiences and our spiritual power. We didn't use that to get here.
right,
Yeah.
right. I love it. You know, when we were out backstage, and we're going to go to the comments in such as in a minute because I see they're on fire, the
Yeah.
comments. But I already said to you before we went live, this is like part one.
Yeah.
Got to
Yeah.
come back with hopefully you and myself and Chief Ayanda because it's I don't know that we talk about the nurturing that needs to happen for us to evolve as humans through creativity, through those vibrations. I don't know if we talk about it enough. We talk about self-care, we talk about trauma and healing, but it might do our community a service if there is a deeper conversation.
Mhm.
So I'm
And
a
that nurturing, April, that nurturing really is using the two ears and the one mouth and
mhm,
keeping that quiet and using the two ears to let other people tell stories for you to grow and let other people inform you, and then taking their stories and putting their stories on a platform instead of what you think about something.
right,
That's
right.
nurturing.
I would agree. I would agree. And if you find yourself in a circle with Rhymefest or Chief Ayanda or Tony Blackman or some of the other people, like then like it's probably that you were supposed to be there. If the words and the experiences, if they move you and you start crying and you don't know why, maybe you were supposed to be there and learn something and become immersed.
Mhm.
So we're gonna have you back. I'm not saying we're done. I'm just saying we're gonna have you back because I'm open. Let's go to the comments real quick, my friend. Because we have an exclusive. Wait a minute. What like you're not leaving before we do
I
the
love it.
exclusive. We so I just want to go to the comments real quick. Rolando's here. This is one of our dear friends, Rolando. He's here every Saturday. We're only on episode 45. Like we
Mhm.
haven't even done a whole year. So I just want to shout out Rolando because he's always in the space, and he's given us links as well. Let me see. Who is he still lived in Washington Park after achieving all of that. Can't deny his love for home. Uh, this is one of the comments talking about you.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. I want to say we have some people showing up for you. Dr. Chase Smith is on point. Tell us about the doctor. Where did the doctor come from? Tell us
Yes.
about.
So, now this is something I would love to have a conversation about.
Yeah,
Uh, is an honorary doctorate a doctorate? Is an honorary doctorate, does that have value? What do you have to do to have an honorary doctorate? So, my honorary doctorate is from our city's HBCU, which is Chicago State University, in humane letters. And it is given to people who show extraordinary contributions to the globe and the community. So you have to make contributions to the world and to where you are from to have this doctorate. And so, when I'm on the board, I say you will use my letters and you will call me Dr. Che, and then use my artist name, Rhymefest, and
Uh-huh.
acknowledge the art, acknowledge the pedagogy, acknowledge me as a revolutionary, as Che. And so one of my colleagues said, well, I have a doctorate in education, and your doctorate is not a real doctorate. And that's what I was told by a colleague. And I said, do you love Maya Angelou? And he said, well, of course. I said, well, she would have demanded that you call her Dr. Angelou, and she had an honorary doctorate. So
Right.
what are we saying? Or are you just saying you don't like my politics? You know? And so, I think that this is something we have to really wrestle with as educators, as academia, as elites. Who are we letting in and who are we saying can't have access? And if a university has found that someone has shown extraordinary pedagogy, who is who to say who you are not?
What is that about, though? Because I know that's an age-old question. With, like you just said, the honorary is not real, but when you get your degree, it says you're entitled to all of the benefits and the this, that, and the
Yes,
other of the
yes.
degree.
And you
Um,
are.
but is it snobbery? Is it as simple as some people who went through a different way to get it? Are they just snobs? Are they jealous? Are they like let's be like what? Where's that come from in your opinion?
I think there's a lot. I think there's rapper prejudice. I think it's,
Yeah.
again, a lot of rappers have said a lot of stupid things, and and have been gotten into the movie industry, gotten into academia, gotten, now into electoral politics. And that's why it's important for me to use my left and right brain, turn this into a ministry, show that I can be a good fiduciary steward of our community, because as an artist, I do have something to prove. Like,
Right.
a lot of people, you ain't got to prove nothing to nobody. No, I am serving people. I am leading from the back. I got something to prove every day
Wow.
that I wake up to the community, that I am serious and that I am dedicated and committed to lifting our children's full education potential. And yeah.
No, no, I was going to say to your point, to add to that, why are we acting like our lived experiences as I've had this conversation with Timothy Jones and others. How come we act like that's not text, right? Our lived
Mm,
experiences. How come we're acting
yes.
like it doesn't matter just because it didn't go through the academic industrial system? You know what I mean?
It does matter. It does matter. But and I'm going to add to that, April. What also matters is, are you continuing to study past your lived experience? So
Yes.
what I see sometimes, I see people leaning on their lived experience as the only way that they make decisions, and not use data, and not go and talk to people and get what
Telling the truth.
other people
Yeah.
are going through. I know people right now making very important decisions on lived experiences that were 20 years ago and not applicable to the technological world that we're living in, because they stopped learning.
Wow. That's real.
You know,
That's real. And that's not, it's real and it's no bueno. It's
yeah.
not good.
All of it. We have to use all of it, because your
Right.
lived experience, when put together, is wisdom.
Yes.
And so we must use wisdom. And
Yes.
inside of wisdom, we must continue to gain information to add to that wisdom and how we apply it.
Yes.
We can't get so comfortable in wisdom that it becomes non-valued nostalgia.
Oof. You must be a lyricist, huh? You must be a
Ah,
poet.
I'm working with them every day. And I'm
That's so
working with
real.
myself. This is not me talking to you. This is me
Right.
talking to me.
I hear you. I hear you.
This is me talking to me
I
and
hear you.
reminding myself of these
Yes.
things we're talking about.
I love it. I love it. We have a comment on the screen right now, says, I am a poli-sci student in the Chicagoland area. Would the Dr. Smith need an intern anytime soon? You got,
Yes. Oh,
oh, you said yes.
let me tell you something. So we do monthly. What I have determined a true leader is in any field, April, is someone who goes above and beyond what your job description is. So my job description as a board member, I really don't have to be in community, but we do community gatherings every month to bring parents together with Chicago Public School leadership, principals, and led by student voice. I am building a student voice committee around the city. It is
Nice.
legal in the state of Illinois. Every school is
Nice.
supposed to have a student voice committee, but in our neighborhoods, out of my 91 schools, only 6 of them have student voice leadership. And so what I want to make sure is that we get students outside the walls of the schools, and I'm always looking for people to be on my community committee for our monthly gatherings and how we bring student voice together in community with principals and CPS leadership. Yes, I need you.
Okay, I love it. How does one, how do we make this connection concrete with,
Yes, I'm going
yeah,
to give it. So this is for everybody.
okay.
My email is C as in cat or Che, C Smith
Mhm.
299, C Smith 299 at cps.edu. C Smith 299 at cps.edu. If you want to talk education, if you want to come to some of my office hours, if you want to come to our community gatherings, if you want to be on our education committee, please email me and then I'll know you're serious.
Wow, man, we got all the exclusives. But I love that. I don't know that I can't have in recent memory where people are so readily, giving out their information for the world
It's
to
a
see.
ministry.
Right.
It's
How
a
could you
ministry.
not? How could you not? You
Yeah,
give us
and I ain't afraid. I'll tell you something real quick, and then I'd love to tell you about this video we did.
yes,
But
yes,
I asked Minister Farrakhan, I said, how do you know? I said, around you, you got all these security guards, but maybe half of them are FBI. How do you feel about having the government so close to you, watching you all the time? And he said, don't you understand I'm doing the work of God? He said, to even get this close to me, you got to do the work of God. He said, son, the believers don't get this close to me. It's only the FBI that I got doing the work of God for me to even get this close. And when they get this close, they too are now doing and in the work of God. He said, so when they start writing a book on you and writing a file on you, make sure you fill it up with something good. I ain't worried about giving the world my email address. If you hitting me up and you get close to me, you're going to be doing the ministry.
wow. I love it. I love it. My heart is overflowing. I thank you. That's a good segue to what you have. When your manager was like, Rhymefest wants to debut the video here, I
Yeah.
was like, say less. So set us up, please.
Okay, this video is called Together. We hear a lot of narratives about ourselves, but not a lot of narratives from ourselves. This video is documenting a 96-year-old Black parade called the Bud Billiken. It's the oldest parade in the country. Nobody has ever seen footage like this. I did a song called Together with a Chicago public school teacher named Joel Q, who's also a rapper. You'll see him in the video. And we
Yeah.
merged our togetherness with the love of James and Nikki. So check out the premiere of Together.
Let's go.
I can liberate my great nephew if Black people can liberate themselves. And since we're talking about a commercial endeavor too, by the way, because the great crisis is we have no land and no money.
On the other hand, we are the only true inheritors of the place called America.
That's right. That's right. It belongs to us.
Because we're still outside of it.
It belongs to us, and there's nobody can do anything about that.
And we will get it.
Together we won, together we strong, together we fight for it, whatever you want. Together we stand up, I'm making the call. Together we build land, we conquer it all.
Together our kids marry each other for keeps. Generational wealth, water and seeds. The family tree, together we free. I'm looking at you, I'm talking to me. Together you only got 5 fingers. Look at this, put them together, now raise your fist. Nobody told Ali who he can't hit. Nobody told Rosa where she can't sit. And I'll be damned if you tell me what I can't have. Open the door for my people, I'ma walk through last. Cause I ain't never had to prove nothing. And every time I thought I lost, I ain't lose nothing. Temptation, life can get David Ruffin. My homie got 20 years, I saw the cops cover. Out of high school through the pipeline. Troshan ain't get life, but that's a lifetime. Sometime it take the dark to make the light shine. To appreciate your daddy when he ain't dying. Listen to your grandmama, she could see signs. This the cookout, you invited, it's our time.
Together we won, together we strong. Together we fight for it, whatever you want. Together we stand up, I'm making the call. Together we build land, we conquer it all.
Together our kids marry each other for keeps. Generational wealth, water and seeds. The family tree, together we free. I'm looking at you, I'm talking to me.
Pray for the trenches, but they may not know. A system was put together for you to not grow. We living off old wars and ops that was once friends, then grow up and have kids. So now with the war in, the media covers stories to keep us from at the table. But this is somebody's life, this not for your entertainment. They look for the worst music and hope that our culture play it, and then turn around and act surprised at this new behavior. They come from the hands of people who never seen struggle, never was considered 3/5 of a human being. Never know what it's like when oppression made you the same. Malcolm said it best, it's not a race, it's a human thing. We killing each other because we tired of our living conditions. Willie Lynch led up predictions. I'm not gonna ask for permission, I'm not gonna ask for forgiveness. This is the real fight, not for the socials. Who gon' pull up in real life? Together we won, together we strong. Together we fight for it, whatever you want. Together we stand up, I'm making the call. Together we build land, we conquer it all.
Together our kids marry each other for keeps. Generational wealth, water and seeds. The family tree, together we free. I'm looking at you, I'm talking to me. Together
I can liberate my great nephew. If black people can liberate themselves, and since we're talking about a commercial endeavor too, by the way, you know, because the great crisis is we have no land and no money.
On the other hand, we are the only true inheritors of the place called America.
That's right. That's right. It belongs to us.
Because we're still outside of it.
It belongs to us, and there's nobody can do anything about that.
And you will get it.
I so love that. I so love that. Oh
That's
man,
that
when I saw,
drum. You hear that drum?
I did. How could you not?
Yeah.
How could you not? Tell us about it again. You did on the front end, but add to the whole
Yeah,
setup.
so I really wanted to continue documenting so that we can continue having this legacy of our almost 100-year-old black parade called the Bud Billiken. It's the oldest, biggest black parade in our country. Maidi Singh Stack from the legacy of Robert Singh Stack, who created the Defender, the Chicago Defender, that got out the news, that helped the Pullman Porters spread black folk from around the South throughout the country. Her and her family still helped throw that parade in a black community. It brings together all of our Chicago high schools, our civic organizations, our legislators. President Obama, when he first was running for Congress and president, had to come through this parade in order for black folk to even know who he was in the community. And so it was important to document that. It was also important for me to say, look, Chicago public teachers, just because you're teaching don't mean stop rapping. The guy that's with me in that video, Joe LQ, he's a black male educator. And I'm like,
yeah.
get out here and use your art, bro. We don't stop. You know, what happens a lot of times is politics kills poetry. And politicians kill poets historically. That's why they burn books and burn down libraries and all of that stuff. What we have to do as poeticians is bring the art back, reimagine and manifest a new future. And so, you know, that and blessing it when you have someone like James and Nikki at the top of that, it blesses it. I'm not worried about how many views I'm going to get. I'm not worried about nothing because the ancestors are over it.
Yeah. Over it, through it, by
In
the
it.
side, underneath, all around, like for real,
Yes.
for real. I
Until we
so
become them.
yes, yes, yes. Oof, yeah. I'm gonna put this on the screen because we have somebody that says something here. Everything you said, I don't agree with. This person says, I love the video. I know all about the Bud Billiken Parade as the founder of the African American Holiday Association and founder of Black Love Day. Oh, that's Io. I know who that is. Thank you for watching. Thanks for bringing the public's attention to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we are excited that you're doing the work that you're doing for sure.
You know,
Um,
the algorithm, the devil be deviling. And the same way that, you know, before we had internet, the news would put out narratives about our communities that even we believe, and it's us believing the worst narrative about ourselves that makes us reproduce it in our art and
yeah,
then get cookies and whatever the treats are from the outward society for degenerating our culture. We must stay strong in putting out the real stories about our community. The majority of people in our community work. The majority of our community is looking how to grow their own businesses, how to have
yes,
the best education for their children. The
yes.
majority of our community is morally and ethically intact, and we need to empower ourselves with our own stories. April, that's why this podcast that we're doing here, that's why you are so important to our community. You help us keep the true narrative alive.
I thank you, and it's a labor of love for sure. Shout out to Marc,
Yeah.
who this month last year was like, "You want to do a show?" I'm like, "Dude, yes, an opportunity
Yeah.
to spread." But let me ask you this, and then I'm gonna ask you about your ascending moment, right? Because
Mm.
I really do want to tap into your intellect and your experience. You know, no jokes aside, like you put in the work and you've got amazing accolades, right? And you've been in that realm with some of the biggest MCs, lyricists, commercial, whatever. And at the same time, you just now said, I don't care about the algorithms. I don't care about the views. How do you mesh that with someone like some could argue, I would say, yeah, you could not care about it because you already got an Academy Award. You already got a Grammy. You already got a Golden Globe. You got all of those things. So yeah, you could not care about it because you've quote unquote arrived. But to the independent artists, they are struggling to get the views. We, us are struggling for the eyeballs and for the attention. How do you reconcile those two realities, the need for people's attention, the science and the algorithms and the devilness that goes on? How do you balance it and make it harmonious without going crazy trying to get eyeballs on your shit?
Yeah, so even with what I mean, look at what I have an Academy Award for, Glory, or a Grammy for Jesus Walks. You know, these are not traditional mainstream things. Even in the time when they came out, when they were saying "bark bark chicken 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 head," and those were the songs. Or "Party Like a Rock Star" was the song of the time.
Right,
We
right.
we had to be trained by an elder and now an ancestor named Dr. Donda West, who taught us that our authenticity and our story was what the world needed. And so when you listen to Jesus Walks, we dare the radio, right? So if I talk about God, my record won't get played, huh? But if it take away from my spins, then I hope it take away from my sins, or saying things like we all self-conscious, I'm just the first to admit it. Or when you're saying glory and you're looking at the song Glory with Common and John Legend, and that ain't nothing but a prayer for the ancestors to tell us what they didn't get to say before they left. So there's something in authenticity and uniqueness no matter what time frame you're in. Let's not act like 2005 we was on the right track, like, or 2014 or 16 we were on the right track. We were not, you know. So I would not say that compromising yourself today is something that needs to be done based on what I was able to do. I didn't compromise myself to do it. And so, you know, but there's a way to generate from the spirit to overcome anything that is surface level. I'll also add, I was thinking about this. I was analog famous. I got to really travel the globe. I did not have the computer telling me through friends or likes that I was famous. I got to encounter and interact with real people. And there's a thing now where I even think about the drug dealers of my time, where they had drug houses, they had cars, all this material wealth that when they went to prison, it took the FBI decades to break down those empires. And now what's happening is this is real sharecropping, like literal sharecropping. You're sharing, you're cropping, and that algorithm on Spotify, even though Glory will stream 100 million, I get $50. So it's real sharecropping where you ain't getting paid for those likes and for those numbers, but you want them, you want them, you want them. And it really has fooled the mind into thinking you have tangible value so that they never have to break down another empire. All they got to do is deactivate your thing. And so if we don't begin to not care about these virtual numbers to a certain extent, our brains will be fooled into thinking that it is a tangible success when it ain't.
Right. Wow. Man, yes.
Does
Yes,
that make
yes.
sense, what I'm saying,
It
April?
absolutely makes sense. And
That's
I
the
don't,
new control. The new control is
yeah,
making you think it's real because they
and it
put a number there based on an algorithm that you really have to betray yourself to get.
right, that part. It's making sense and it's eloquently stated. My friend, tell us about your ascending moment. And
Okay.
so we can go into part two like on another day. We're gonna get our
Right.
schedules out and you're gonna come back. But right now, tell
Yeah.
us about your ascending moment, if you would, your breakthrough
Yeah.
moment in
That,
whatever layer
yeah.
of your
There have been many, and I'll tell you one about a relationship I talked about, and Black men need to talk about this more publicly. I'm happily married, and I'm so happy and blessed that God made room in my life for a companion that I share purpose with. She ain't my secretary, she ain't my do-it-all, she ain't my boss, she's my partner. And coming out of my last marriage, divorce is death. When you go through a divorce, you're going through the spirit of death. And so when I was going through that, uh, my mom had came over and looked around the darkness of my home. The plants were dying, the animals were sick, everything in the house had the feeling of decay. And my mother looked around and said, "Where your wife at?" I said, "Mama, she left me." She said, "Okay." She said, "That plant over there ain't dead." And she started dumping it on my living room floor. "Go get me a pot. Go get me some soil. Go get me another." She said, "Son, these plants are in this pot and they're growing. They're choking each other because the pot is too small. You got to separate them so they can grow apart."
Oh my God.
I said, "Ma, did you just tell me I got to repot myself and replant myself so I can grow? Because we was in a
Oh,
space too small and we was choking each other, and it ain't nobody fault. It's just that we getting bigger and the pot is small."
oh my God.
Ascending moment. I got
Ascending
to grow
moment.
apart and find my real companion in a bigger pot.
Oh man. Oh, the tears are on the verge of falling. Man, I'm happy for you. I'm
Mm.
happy for you. I'm happy for your union. I'm happy for the maturity that you have to share that. And I don't know if I want to use the word vulnerable because
It
I
is.
see
It's okay.
build power. No, no, no. But I'm
It is
saying if
power. Yeah.
there's a connotation around weakness sometimes when we say
Mm.
vulnerable. And what I'm lifting up is the power and the maturation and the clarity of mind that is going to have rippling effects to everybody who watches this. And I'm honoring you, your partner. Like I'm overjoyed. I'm
Yeah.
overjoyed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I say this all the time here on Ascending. I don't do goodbyes. I don't say goodbyes. My grandmother, my maternal grandmother, never said goodbye. She was like, I don't do that. I'll say so long, but it
Yeah.
ain't goodbye.
Yes, yes, yes. Until we meet again.
Until we meet again, fam, I love you. I thank you so much for everything. Everybody, Rhymefest. If you want to get more information about your work, let me just say this about your work. Rhymefest for Chicago, if you're on Instagram. Guys, can we put up the email address one more time before I guess? The website is cheworldwide.com.
Uh-huh.
And guys, let's put up, there we go. The website, not the website, the email for those who want to intern, those who want to talk with you, for those who are listening and not watching, the email address is csmith299 at cps.edu.
And it can also be found in the chat.
And it's also in the chat. Right. Yes. That was Kevin letting us know that is in the live chat. Rhymefest, we love you. We thank you. And we're going to see you soon right back here on Ascending.
I look forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Fam, wow, 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 all day. Wow. Thank you everybody who's watching. We're gonna do a couple of that was an amazing episode. Let me just before we get into our closing, whatever, that was an amazing, not episode, conversation. And it was as real could get. We want to invite you to tell your friends about this show. We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m. on Marc Lamont Hill Official on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, remember to go ahead and always switch over. That's how you support this show and the channel and the indie Black media movement that Marc Lamont Hill is a part of. The playlist of every episode we've ever done. Now we've done 45. We're new. We're new to the live streaming space. So go to the Ascending playlist on Marc Lamont Hill Official on YouTube. I want to remind you, family, that Marc Lamont Hill and myself actually are available to come to your campus, your corporate event, your community event. You can book us right here through my team. Drake Holiday is the contact person. Drake at Aquila Work Songs. You can bring this live, make this a live experience in your own neighborhood. I think we have some reminders. Follow me, April R. Silver, in Aquila Work Songs. For those who don't know, Aquila Work Songs is my communications and marketing agency. So follow me and the company on everywhere on social media. And I think that's it. We want to remind you finally, join the Patreon. This is how you can get more like this. Please like, subscribe to the channel, like this video, give us your comments. All those things help keep us thriving. This kind of content is sacred work. I view it. Talk about ministries. I see it as sacred work. I'm about to get off the show right now and make some phone calls so we can book a whole bunch of things. We got one singular good news report. The March for Mumia is through December 9th. Go to marchformumia.org. And on that note, we can totally, absolutely close out. Family, we will see you next Saturday here on Ascending at 11 a.m. Eastern. I am so grateful to be your host, April R. Silver. In the meantime, stay up.